Ladies and gentlemen, this is TVP World. You're watching another edition of Break the Fake, where we debunk fake news and combat false narratives. I'm your host, Benjamin Lee, and let's get rolling. Now let's dive right into the geopolitical equivalent of a clown car on fire. The recent meeting between Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban and Russia's very own shirtless wonder, Vladimir Putin.
Не какая-то пауза, которую киевский режим мог бы использовать, чтобы восстановить потери, перегруппироваться и дооружиться.
Nem egész egyszerűen egy szünet, amit Kijev arra használhat, hogy újra átcsoportosítsa erőit és helyrehozza helyzetét.
Россия выступает за полное и окончательное завершение конфликта.
Oroszország a konfliktus teljes és végleges lezárásáért harcol.
Условия для этого, как я уже говорил, изложены в моем выступлении в Министерстве иностранных дел.
Ennek a feltételei, mint már említettem, a felszólalásomban elhangzottak.
Речь идет о полном выводе всех войск Украины из Донецкой, Луганской народных республик, из Запорожской и Херсонской областей.
Arról van szó, hogy a Donecki, Luganszki, Hersoni és Zaporozsjai területről Ukrajnának ki kell vonni a csapatait.
Есть и другие условия, но это все предмет для достаточно подробного рассмотрения в ходе возможной совместной работы.
So, Orban met with Putin and, according to our favorite Russian autocrat, represented mostly Western viewpoints on Ukraine because, of course, when you think of a staunch defender of Western democratic values, you naturally think of Viktor Orban, the man who's turned Hungary into a delightful hybrid of a democracy and a dictatorship. It's like calling a McDonald's salad a healthy meal option. Technically possible, but fundamentally misleading. Putin, never one to miss an opportunity for some grade A propaganda, declared that they discussed potential resolutions for the Ukraine conflict. And Orban, playing the role of peace-loving statesman, called for a ceasefire to pave the way for negotiations. How noble. Except, it's like trying to mediate a bar fight by asking everyone to just stop punching while ignoring who threw the first punch. Spoiler, was Russia. But wait, there's more. Putin, in a masterclass of delusion, claimed that the chances of Ukrainian leaders who have supposedly lost their popularity winning elections are close to zero. Because nothing says credible political analysis like a man whose elections are freer in name than in practice. It's like taking dietary advice from Lizzo. Putin also reiterated Russia's stance on ending the conflict in Ukraine, on Moscow's terms. Of course, not just a ceasefire, mind you, but a full resolution according to conditions laid out by the very people who started the war. It's like a burglar demanding a full pardon and the keys to your house as term for ending a robbery. Orban, fresh from his diplomatic excursion to Kyiv and Moscow, noted that the positions of the two sides are far apart. You don't say, Victor. That's a bit like observing the sun and the moon are somewhat distant from each other. Really an insight from the man who's essentially playing messenger between a victim and their aggressor. In summary, this meeting was a theater of the absurd, featuring Orban pretending to be a neutral peacemaker and Putin spinning his usual web of deceit and disinformation. So, to Viktor Orban and Vladimir Putin, we say congratulations, you've managed to turn diplomacy into a tragicomic performance that would make even Shakespeare weep with frustration. And for the rest of us, well, we can only watch in horrified fascination as the farce unfolds on the world stage. Now let's take a minute to talk about Viktor Orban, a man who has managed to brainwash an entire nation. Yes, Hungary, that proud nation that once fought valiantly for its freedom, now seems oddly submissive to the whims of a leader, driving them straight into Russia's cold authoritarian embrace. The same Russia they fought tooth and nail to escape just 35 years ago? Irony, the name by Viktor. According to a recent survey, 51% of Hungarians now believe that Ukraine is the biggest threat in the region. That's right, Ukraine, not Russia, the country that invaded a sovereign nation, but Ukraine, the country defending itself from an invasion. It's like being more afraid of the fire alarm than the actual fire. Meanwhile, 46% of Hungarians distrust Russia, which is still a shockingly low figure considering Russia's track record, and a third of the population also harbors distrust towards China and the USA. It's as if Orban's Hungary is playing some twisted game of who wants to alienate every major global players. And to top it all off, attitude towards Ukrainian refugees have worsened because nothing says compassion like turning your back on people fleeing a war zone. Hungary, you've gone from being a beacon of freedom to a cautionary tale of how quickly things can turn sour. And now a geopolitical bromance nobody asked for: Vladimir Putin and Kim Jong-un. Last September, in a meeting that could best be described as Bond-villain crossover fanfiction, Putin and Kim got together in Vladivostok. The Kremlin's goal? To beg North Korea for artillery ammunition to continue their floundering war in Ukraine, because nothing says we are winning like asking one of the most isolated and impoverished countries on earth for help. You see, Russia has been having a bit of an issue with ammunition production. And by a bit, I mean it's been so bad that the front lines in Ukraine have barely shifted for over a year. It's making lots of noises, but making very little progress. By the end of last year, reports started trickling in about the quality of North Korean artillery ammunition supplied to Russia. Spoiler alert, it's abysmal. And now even the Russian aggressors themselves are admitting it. There are terrifying videos online showing the catastrophic results of using North Korean weaponry. In one clip, a 3-man crew operates an S-60 anti-aircraft gun mounted on an armored vehicle, and they fire a shot and the gun promptly explodes, leaving the crew with serious injuries. It's like they've turned warfare into a slapstick comedy, only it's tragically real. So, congratulations, Putin and Kim, you turned an international crisis into a farce that would be hilarious if it weren't so horrifying. Hats, gentlemen. And now we have another Russian fake ready to be broken. A few days ago, Russian propagandists have begun talking about an alleged Iskander ballistic missile strike on an airbase in the Ukrainian city of Kryvyi, saying that the missile successfully neutralized a Patriot air defense system in the area. To corroborate the claims, the Russians published a footage from a reconnaissance drone. Now, this is where the fun begins. After the attack, the commander of the Ukrainian Air Force said that Russia has actually hit models of military equipment in the Odessa and Kryvyi regions of Ukraine. In a social media post, he wrote, quote, "Thanks to everyone who helped with quality models of aircraft and air defense systems. The enemy now has fewer Iskanders." That means there's no actual military-grade hardware at the strike sites, contrary to Russian claims. Okay, so we know that Russians are always lying, that's nothing new, but why did Ukraine deploy models of military equipment to provoke Russia into the strike? Well, here's a handful of data. A single Iskander M ballistic missile can cost over $3 million, while a single realistic mock-up of a military system costs anywhere from $1,000 to $10,000. So this is just sanctions, but applied from a very different direction. Who knows, maybe this approach will even work better than actual sanctions. And with that, we conclude this edition of Break the Fake. But for more news, update, and commentary, please stay tuned to TVP World.